Hi guys, last attempt on a tutorial how to make acid guitars, and why it's the last attempt is because I've tried so many cam recording softwares or desktop softwares that I'm getting really fed up on this shit. Yeah, enough ranting. I'm going to be covering how to make shredding guitars, and similar to this you will hear now. And how to do that? First off, you need a SoundFont player, and in this case I chose Sforzando. Sforzando is a free program, and I'm gonna add the link in the description so you can find out. I've also used Contact, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm adding this as a free program so you can check it out. It's a really neat little program. Then also you will need a SampleBank, and you will need the SampleBank called Shredage1, which I bought. There are two other versions that I know of. It's Shredage X and Shredage 2. Not that big difference between 1 and X. Actually, I think they're almost the same. But in regards of Shredage 2, they have added a lot of more samples and articulations on the guitar, and even lower tuned guitars. So of course it's better, but in regards of money, I think Shredage 1 is definitely enough. And the third thing you're gonna need is to have a guitar amp simulator. There are tons of free good amp emulator out there, but I haven't got the time to find any, so I stuck with my Guitar Rig 5, which I bought in the complete package. It's a really neat little program or effect, and I used it a lot even for recording my real bass or real guitar. It's really good program, but I understand it's quite expensive. So if any of you guys have the time and find a free amp simulator, feel free to post the link in the comments below. It would be really greatly appreciated. Anyhow, when making a shredding guitar, as you heard in the example, I need to load two guitars. I'm gonna have one guitar, one main guitar, and the second guitar, or one or two, one and two. I send them to separate channels, and I pan them left and right. And that's mainly because in most metal bands they have two guitar players playing the rhythm guitar, and that is because it sounds more fat. It's simple as that. So first off, I load up Sforzando, then I import the sound package, in this case stereo shreddage master Sforzando, and I clone that and send them to separate channels. As I said, I pan guitar 1 left and guitar 2 I pan right. Then on each channel I add a parametric EQ, and I remove all the low ends. And you all know that by now. You remove in Psytrance, you want to leave room for the kick and bass. That goes for the guitar as well. And second step in this chain is adding your amplifier. And when adding, in this case I'm gonna have the Guitar Rig 5 as an example. I'm not using the same patch or not the exact same simulator or emulator of the amp. For Guitar 1 I chose a patch called Hardcore 51. You can find it in Styles and Metal. And for Guitar 2 I chose a different patch. You don't want to have them playing the same sound, and it's called Nickel Power. You can find it in styles and metal as well. And when you listen to one at a time, you can hear the difference in what it makes to the sound. First we start with guitar 2. Then I'm going to play guitar 1. Then both at the same time. Yeah. And that's in regards in how to set up your program and how to set up your SoundFont player. And now to the equally important part, which is MIDI. They did the SampleBank this way that you have single notes or strokes on single notes in the higher octaves, and then the same notes played in a power chord. Power chord is a basic chord you hear a lot in metal or in rock in general. It's actually 2 notes playing. You can hear a single string, and here you have the same but as a power chord. Actually, it's more pronounced if I just I'm gonna remove the guitar amplifier for now. Let's see. Here you have the single notes playing, and here you have the power chords playing. Like in this case, B1 equals to B4. It's the same string played. Okay, when playing a guitar, it's basically you have to know the restrictions of the instrument, and I tend to try to think of the guitar when sequencing MIDI on emulating a guitar player. I think of it as a monophonic synth, and that is you can only play one note at a time. A good example is you need to know your restrictions. I've heard so many producers that maybe aren't familiar with the art of playing piano or keyboards for that matter, and they do a really nice elaborate intro, and I start to feel what the fuck, this is wrong. Oh man, he's like playing with 15 fingers, and it sounds really, to my ears, it sounds really wrong, because you know the restrictions of the human hands are you have 10 fingers, man, you can't play 15 notes at the same time. That sounds silly. But of course you're free to do whatever you want, but if you want to have a realistic playing instrument, you should know the restriction. And the restriction for the guitar is you can't play the same string, 2 notes on the same string. You can play the same note 1 octave up, or find different octaves on other parts of the guitar, but for most part when making rhythm guitars, shredding rhythm guitars, you need to think of the guitar as a monophonic synth. That means you don't want to have another note playing into another note or occupying the same space. Say if for here I would add another note. You can't do that. You can't play 2 notes on the same string. So this is how it looks. Mostly I go about, I'm going to show you this by soloing that part and going to the piano. I start off by adding some single notes. Oh fuck, I want to make them short. Like this. And we can listen to it, how it sounds now. You can hear clearly you have the up and down strokes going. They play into each other and it doesn't sound really realistic. And it's really repetitive. So what I do is first off I'm shortening notes if you want to have that pumping, shredding feeling. And I start varying the velocities, and the velocities control the palm muting, or the muting of the string played, and then you can add some groove to it by doing it like that. Yeah, like such. Then say the octave from B4, if you remember, I told you it was B1. So maybe oh fuck, sorry. I play, say B4. Where can I find you? There you are. And on the power chords, I emphasize on a bit higher velocity because they are played fully out. And you see that when adding that note, I have to remove that note. I don't know why this is happening by default now. It's actually funny. Okay, let's see how this sounds. You get the idea, I think. Also do some slight variations in the lengthening of the notes, shorten some, lengthen some, just to make it sound more realistic, you know. And that will sound with the distortion on. I'm gonna do this in the center. Let's see how it sounds. Sounded quite bad actually. Oh man, I'm crappy at this. I think the problem was I was playing fully, power chords were going, was playing too short actually. I will lengthen them, not that part here. And then what I have to do is remove that strummed note above, because I can't play those at the same time. This is an octave up. Probably sound better. Let's hear it. Doesn't sound that good to me, but you get the idea, I hope. So I made that patch here. Now into the MIDI part where you're adding it to a song. There are one thing you need to think of when using shreddage, and I'm not sure why, but let's see here. I'm zooming in. Here you have this is my basic patch for kick and bass. I have to unmute this. This is my percussions, and this is my hi-hats. When playing at the exact same time, it doesn't sound tight at all. What I have to do is I have to start playing the guitars a little bit ahead. I have to press down the alt button and move it in such a way. It's not a lot, but just a little hunch moving there. Oh fuck! Now I moved. Or did I do that? That sounds quite okay. I think I maybe moved it too far. That's why. Like such. Hopefully better. Yeah. And problem gets you will have a problem when looping, because the note played here will often have a sustain on it that will go into that part here. But for most parts it's not a problem, as you're not looping parts in your project. But I recommend, if you're bouncing down the track, you don't have the loop point start here, select all the parts. But let's hear it together. With a kick and bass in 140 BPM, it can sound something like this. Actually quite nice, I think, those pumping guitars. But remember, you have to adjust the starting point of the MIDI plate here. And actually I don't know why, I think it is how they recorded the samples. Maybe they left some headroom or the room in the beginning of the each sample, and so it feels delayed, I don't know. But it's really easy, just nudge them a bit. Yeah, anyhow, I think that's about it. Covering the basic of doing a shredding guitar. If you got any questions, you can do all sorts of stuff with shreddage. Actually, you can play guitars, like soloing guitars really fast. A lot of stuff, but I won't go into that, because actually when using guitars in Psytrance, I tend to think of it that it's just a complement. It's a rhythm instrument. It's not gonna be like your main lead synth. Of course you can have that, but it doesn't work that good actually. But as a shredding rhythm guitar added on top of a layer, it's really nice. And yeah, one thing also I forgot to mention, if you want to have it like this, I created a MIDI sequence here that is 1 bar long, and this will keep repeating. You know that. Maybe if you want to have that realistic feeling, you should remove those parts here and do a copy of the patch or not. You don't need to make it 4 bar long, but you make it that long as you want the guitars to play it. Then you go into each MIDI part and you add some slight variation to the velocity of the guitar played. By doing so, you will create a more dynamic and more realistic sounding guitars. Sometimes maybe you don't need that. As in this case, I think I will stick with it repeating itself. But in the case you want to have like a really realistic sounding guitar, maybe you should think about it. Add the variations and such. Yeah, but anyhow, that's a tutorial, short tutorial on how to make shredding guitars. And if any of you guys find a neat free amp simulator, please post it. It would be gladly appreciated. And another thing, I recorded this tutorial like, I don't know, 30 times now, and I had so many problems with my fucking capture software. I used Fraps in Windows 8, and now when changing or switching to Windows 10, I had really hard time getting it to work, or it doesn't work, so I had to switch. And now I'm trying out my graphic cards. Hopefully this works. But any of you guys know any free good cam recording programs out there, please post them as well. Yeah, enough of that. Now go make some powerful shredding Psytrance, and I will be here for you soon. Okay? Take care.